at that point in time, the IRA had emerged, right, and they were kind of prominent in the 70s, 1971, and then Bloody Sunday happened in 1972. And I suppose Bloody Sunday was the catalyst for me to say, I need to do something a bit more than going out on marches. And I remember going to my cousin Ida's house, whose husband had been shot that day, and having a sort of Ida was she was never the same after that. She was deeply, deeply, deeply traumatized. But I remember saying, Ida, I'm going to do something to get back at them. And it was out of that I became involved in the Republican movement, I suppose.
What was the start then of the Republican movement?
Oh well, it's you need
from your point of view.
From my point of view,
yeah.
I would never have classed myself as a Republican. I was kind of an nationalist tag would have been on me, but I really didn't know a whole lot about it. I really didn't know a whole lot about republicanism, and there was many phases from the Easter Rising of 1916 and even further back, and every number of years there was an attempt to eject the British out of Ireland, and there was various campaigns in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and then the 1969 early 70s, which was the campaign that probably went on for the longest period of time up till the Good Friday Agreement. The whole war was constantly evolving.
What year was the Good Friday Agreement again?
I think it was 90.
It's the 90s, wasn't it?
It was 94 days. Can't remember.
Yeah. So there was 20 years there in between where there was, you could say, Northern Ireland was at war.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It was I would say nearly a crazy time, like for the people. How were you applying yourself during that time to try and,
Well, obviously,
it's
fairly common in Hollies that I would have joined the IRA and became active as I could be, I suppose, and that went on for 1972. I eventually had to go on the run, was on the run 70, late 72, 1973, 74. 75, there was what was called a bilateral truce, where there was an agreement between the IRA and, well, there were a number of attempts prior to that where secret negotiations went ahead. Probably one of the best known ones was when Martin McGuinness and a number of other prominent Republicans, including Gerry Adams, who was let out of jail, to go to London to meet with the then Secretary of State, a man called William Whitelaw. They were flown over from RAF Aldergrove, and they, I think, and Martin and maybe another member were picked up in an army helicopter out the Ballyarnett Road, flown to RAF Aldergrove, and then flown across to go to meet them. Those those talks didn't really go too well, I don't think. And there was a short ceasefire.
This was in the mid-70s,
It was the early 70s.
early 70s. So they're trying to get peace.
Aye. And there's a strange, while these talks were going on, two unarmed soldiers in plain clothes just happened to walk into the bogside and were promptly captured or taken into custody, and they remained in custody until the people who were over in England for the negotiations came home safely, and the soldiers were released very conveniently.
That sorted that out.
No, that was, as I say, 72, 73 was 72, 73 were very bad years, in terms of people being killed and soldiers being killed and policemen being killed, IRA volunteers being killed, innocent people being killed, Catholics being killed more and more at the hands of loyalist groups. And that escalated into 1973, 74. It got pretty bad in 75. I got married in November 75, and
So that was after being on the run.
when I got married, I was actually on the run, so I had to get married out here. I got married in Perth Chapel,
Yes.
and our reception was in the old Red Castle Hotel. Everybody got food poisoning, which was funny. And no, that was it. I was only married 12 weeks when I was arrested. I was arrested in Martin McGuinness's sister's house with him. We twigged on that we were being watched, and we decided this was still part during what was supposed to be a bilateral truce.
So there was some form of agreement.
Yeah, and we were told that we were going to be exempt from, but as it went on and on, and the whole situation began to get sort of, we knew it was going downhill, but technically the British set up what they called incident centres, where if there were breaches on either side, you would make a complaint to the incident centre, and there was somebody, and the people who were manning these incident centres were purely very low grade civil servants who hadn't really any clout, So there was a number of breaches of the ceasefire. Probably one of the most prominent one was Shane Paul O'Doherty was arrested in his home in Derry. Shane was wanted for activities in England, and not long after his arrest was actually taken across to England, to trial in England, was jailed in England, spent a long time in solitary confinement in England. But Shane was arrested, I think it was a Friday morning, and it was logged as a breach of the ceasefire. So representations were made through these incident centres, but came to nothing. So the IRA at the time decided that they would take some sort of retaliatory action. So on the Saturday, they shot a policeman who was on patrol on the Derry walls, and that was probably the beginning of everything going downhill, after that. And there became more and more incidents, breaches, and then the day we were arrested, we were aware that we were being kind of watched, and we decided to go into Martin's sister's house to allow everything to sort of calm down a wee bit. But lo and behold, there was a knock on the door. Martin's sister Geraldine, I think, went and opened the door, and there was an officer who we knew from being about, and we had engaged with him many times, and he basically said that they were there to arrest me. So Martin became sort of argumentative with them to say, do you not realise there's a truce on here, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they were adamant that I was being arrested, and so Martin said, well, if you take him, you better take me too. So we did take him. We were taken to Strand Road barracks, the new Strand Road. Well, we were brought to the old barracks first, where we were processed. There was a number of stages of processing. You went to the RUC processed you when you came in, and then you went, for some reason, you went up the stairs to the Royal Military Police, and then we were transferred down to the new barracks in the Strand Road, which was only opened at the time. My recollection is we were one of the first people to be held under. They brought in this new thing where you could be held for 7 days without being charged. So we were one of the first two who actually went through that 7-day process. We weren't the first, but we were one of the first groups that ever had to go through that 7-day interrogation period. So that was quite a bit of. It was my first time ever being arrested, so it was quite new to me.